And we got a special guest with us here today. We have Aimone Pasqualin.
I told them, hey, I'm going to go and, have a little catch up with Igor, Cam, and Dylan. And the guy was very super impressed. And he goes, that's a very important law firm. They're doing an amazing job. And this is, someone at the very highest level of the public defender's office. So, that knows and is following your career. These were the cream of the crop when they were working with me. And I was kind of a senior attorney for them. But I can tell you one thing. The one thing that they have learned to do, they have learned how to listen to a judge and understand where he or she is going and use that to the advantage of their client. I can promise you that there's very few people in Miami-Dade County that have that kind of experience and that kind of ability. So we're happy to see our ex-criminal brethren that have really developed something special in the PI field.
Thanks, man.
Thank you very much, Aimone.
Appreciate it. It's good to hear that too, because we're in the grind sometimes and don't see how it looks from the outside. So it's good to hear.
I'm not the only one saying that. I told you. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another CHG Weekly Recap. We are CHG, your personal injury law firm for Florida, and we got a special guest with us here today. We have Aimone Pasqualin, who is a blast from our past and was a bit of a mentor to us when we were starting out at the Public Defender's Office in the misdemeanor division. Aimone now is no longer with the Public Defender's Office. He's now doing his own thing, works with the law offices of Julie Kefalinos.
Correct.
Who she does some bankruptcy and does it well, and he does now criminal defense and anything else?
Criminal defense and bankruptcy. That's mostly what we do.
Criminal defense and bankruptcy.
Yes.
And I've seen this guy wow juries over and over again with a stool sometimes, actually, which was with a stool, which is not something you see very often. But let's get into the week. Find out what people did. Igor Hernandez, what'd you get into this week, man?
I am preparing for a trial that could start at any time. So we'll get the call the day before saying, hey, show up the next day, whatever, which is how it works in civil. In criminal, it's a little bit different, but in civil, you get the call 24 hours before saying, show up tomorrow, show up on Monday, whatever, try the case. We are almost completely done with the trial prep. And so now it's just polishing. We got to make sure that it looks right, that it sounds right, that we didn't miss anything. And so I spent most of my week doing that. Spent some of the time, I have an evaluation with Ira, which is one of our lawyers coming up. So I had to spend some of the time looking at the data for his KPIs and stuff like that, which is as exciting as it sounds. It's the most boring thing that you can do for an hour and a half of your day, but it needs to get done, so that got done. And that's pretty much it. It's been mostly, that's not true. I lost this hearing yesterday.
Oh, that was interesting.
I lost this hearing yesterday on something that I would have never guessed. As lawyers, you never really know what's going to happen in court, but man, every now and then you get surprised. I lost this hearing on this thing where essentially I had a Florida Supreme Court case that stood for the proposition, literally, that I was asking for. And I showed it to the judge, I read it to the judge, I shared my screen and showed the citation. And the judge was basically no, I think we must be missing something here, because if that's what the law is, then I would be seeing a lot more people bring this type of claim. I can't speak for what other people bring or don't bring, right? I'm only talking about what the law is, and Florida Supreme Court case right here says that it is what it is. So I lost on that issue, on the fact that essentially the judge disagrees with what the Florida Supreme Court says, which was an interesting day so far, but what makes it exciting, right? If you knew everything that was going to happen at all times, it'd be pretty boring. So, but yeah, that was it. What about you, Cam? What did you do?
So this week, worked on getting some of this marketing campaign off the ground and got some pieces put together. Sat down with Dylan, talked about it, found some things that needed to be fixed and changed. And so tomorrow on a long flight, I'm going to be doing some changing and working on that. And then Dylan and I are going to have another meeting and get that thing done so that we can get that off the plate and into execution and start helping more people, because that's what it's all about. Other than that, just planning, man. Last year was an interesting year, and one of the things that it did, aside from CHG doing well, is because the business is growing and we're getting into a different, kind of our roles are growing, it shines a very clear spotlight on where you need to improve next to be kind of the business owner that the business needs you to be. And so for me, that involves planning and execution. And so I'm working on both of those things and trying to get better at that. So step by step, every little bit of progress helps. That's what I've been up to. Dylan Gonzalez, what you been up to, man?
So this past week has been pretty interesting, especially now as we're kind of up in this more management position. I think we have our hands in a few different areas. On the pre-suit side, I had to just do some investigation on a wrongful death case that we had, just to make sure that our client, sadly, I don't think we're going to be able to help her out on this one, just because there aren't enough witnesses, there isn't enough retained evidence, and by the time we got the case, there wasn't, things had not been put in motion to kind of save, the evidence. And that's assuming really there was something there to begin with, right? But, on a case such as that, especially where it's very emotional for the family and for the people involved, we want to make sure that no stone was left unturned. So obviously I hired an investigator, we're just following up with that. that I had a detective who I've been trying to get in touch with for several months who finally returned my phone call, had a long conference with him, and then spoke to some of the other independent witnesses who I've been playing phone tag with, just to kind of make sure that it was handled properly, so that when I did speak to the family and just have to kind of give them some of that sad news that we weren't going to be able to help them out, they can rest assured that at least we had taken all the necessary steps. Then I also spoke to some other clients and some other referral partners, some attorneys who were talking about sending us some cases, and sat down with one of those prospective clients yesterday just to hear about his case, some of the issues that he was facing with the prior firm. Because as you can imagine, some of the cases we get organic just through the door, and some of them are coming from friends and family and other attorneys that we know. And then others might just be disgruntled former clients that left a prior attorney that sadly wasn't being represented great, So just trying to talk through that issue. And then just had a couple other lunches with some other attorneys and people that wanted us to do business with them. And that was pretty much it. But it's been a pretty full week. This year is probably going to be a lot of that. I think every single day is going to be some version of that. And it's only January
19th, because this goes out.
Yeah,
this goes out today.
Thanks, Cam. No, that's all good. Anyways, that was pretty much my week.
So we saved the best for last.
There you go.
I'm Oni Pasqualine.
Hey there.
What you been up to this week, man?
Well, actually, I'm planning to come and meet you guys. And these three guys I've seen in the infancy of their law careers. And I was talking about what I was about to do with them this week with a very important management type person at the public defender's office. And I told them, hey, I'm going to go and, have a little catch up with Igor, Cam, and Dylan. And the guy was very super impressed. And he goes, that's a very important law firm. They're doing an amazing job. And this is, someone at the very highest level of the public defender's office. So, that knows and is following your career. So this weekend, I basically did not much of anything. I did an injunction hearing that lasted 4.5 hours. And it was decided by the judge on the wrong issue. Okay, this is a father-in-law and the daughter-in-law. And the daughter-in-law lived in a house that was provided by the father-in-law, but they never lived together. So in order for you to get a domestic violence injunction, if you are related by blood or family, you have to have lived together sometime in the past. And these people never lived together. We made that argument, and the judge looked at the statute and said because of the way the statute was worded and the way they put a certain comma, he wasn't going to find on the actual law. But then he actually denied the injunction anyway because he basically found that he had no intent to actually hit her. All he was trying to do is to get her out of the way for him to get to his son. Injunction denied, and everybody's happy.
Good.
And it really doesn't matter how a judge finds, right, as long as he finds in your favor.
Words from the wise.
And I can tell you one thing, these were the cream of the crop when they were working with me, and I was kind of a senior attorney for them. But I can tell you one thing, the one thing that they have learned to do, they have learned how to listen to a judge and understand where he or she is going and use that to the advantage of their client. I can promise you that there's very few people in Miami-Dade County that have that kind of experience and that kind of ability, because it's not just the experience, it's the ability that you all have. Anyway, I'm working with Julia Cafalinos, who used to be my trial partner at the public defender's office.
Oh, wow.
And we're having a lovely time. She does bankruptcies and we do criminal together. So we're happy to see our ex-criminal brethren that have really developed something special in the PI field.
Thanks, man.
Thank you very much, Emily.
Appreciate it. It's good to hear that too, because we're in the grind sometimes and don't see how it looks from the outside. So it's good to hear.
I'm not the only one saying that. I told you. Yeah, and I did not mention any names because maybe people don't want to be.
For sure.
Outed.
Yeah.
For sure.
But
outed is liking CHC. I know it's rough. Well, legit, hey, it's good to see you again, my friend. Thank you for coming out and meeting with us.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
Drop toast.
See you next time.